Welcome to Wrestledope. This is our live Justin.tv show brought to you every Sunday 9 p.m. GMT, 4 Eastern and 1 Pacific. If you've never joined us in our Justin.tv chat room, then please do check us out at some point, and it's just a representation of exactly what we do live each and every week. And of course that's one of the things about our videos is that, well, I'd say 95% of them were recorded live.
95% recorded live. Yeah, we're going to try out something new this week, and hopefully it works, and if it doesn't, then what can we do about it? But at least we're going to try it. And yeah, it's been a good week in the world of sports entertainment.
That's exactly right. So each and every week we sit here and talk about the wrestling news stories, also the WWE and TNA, what's been happening in their programming this week and what exactly we thought about it, as well as yourselves on Skype and everybody else joining us in the Justin.tv chat room. Now the big subject this week, of course, was that spoiler that got out very early around Tuesday when WWE Smackdown had their tapings, and the big news coming out of that is that Christian, who had just been crowned World Heavyweight Champion the night before at WWE Extreme Rules, was robbed of the belt as Smackdown debuting Randy Orton defeated him, and indeed Christian's very short reign that he worked so long for has come to an end this quick.
I can't hold in the laugh. It's the funniest thing of all time.
So many people got annoyed about this, didn't they? They went crazy.
I think it's hilarious. I think it's the funniest thing ever, actually. I feel sorry for Christian. I mean, Christ, the start of SmackDown, you got to think for a second. The guy knew, obviously, when he got to the building that day, pretty quickly that belt was going. And when they opened it up with that little video montage of his long walk to the title and how you know, all he wants to do is just touch it and taste it, and it was burn territory big time there, I think.
He did look a little forlorn as he made his entrance to the ring, and as you say, he knew what was about to happen. As soon as Orton came out, that was effectively the end of Christian's reign, because therein began his feud, and of course that feud resulting in that belt changing hands at such an early stage. What was so sad was that Christian's title reign, at least so far, and I know this could be part of a bigger angle, Chris Jericho said it himself, that this could be a bigger story. We saw, you know, Christian leaving the ring, and it said to me he was going to have it again, and that this is the beginning of something. But all I was going to say is that you know, Christian had Khali and Mark Henry as his storyline for his reign.
It's true. Now that's something I didn't actually take too much note of. I did notice that things were a bit different when Mark Henry came out first and Khali came out, but as a program, it didn't really hit me that way. But I did, you know, for Orton couldn't even look him straight in the face when Christian was coming down the ramp. I'd say he was holding in the laugh so much. It's just, yeah, funny. That's the only way I can say. It's very funny.
This was such a political move, and I think it was all about that Orton move to SmackDown. When talking about this during the week, it is the real thing that stood out to us is the sort of move that had been made. You know, you couldn't throw Orton on to that lesser brand, if you like, and leave him without something to keep him over, because he was suffering on Raw. He was on his way down.
Yeah, it's a whole rebranding for Orton, and I think, like we said during the week, or like you said to me, I'm sure when he was discussing his move to SmackDown, he probably said, yeah, I'm going there if I'm getting the belt, full stop. The WWE being the WWE, you saw what happened in that scenario. But one thing I will say is that no doubt I think Christian will get it again, and I think, yeah, this will be a good start to a good story on his climb back to the top of the mountain. I think what people forgot to realise or forgot to mention with all the heat or aggro that was sent to both of those guys and to the E was that it was a good match. It was a very good match for both those guys. No matter who came out on top, very good match, and showed that Orton doesn't have to be so much on the Orton side of things all the time. Now, he was the moves. I mean, something I don't really pay too much attention to, but aggressive. Orton's aggressive, isn't he?
It was a great match. Christian versus Randy Orton was something that is not in my memory as seeing for a while. Did it ever happen? I'm not sure. But this time it was very, very good. Now, of course, Christian is going to want to have his only title defense so far as a very good competitive match. And Orton obviously was very good to him in that sense. I mean, he didn't want to bury him, squash him. Of course, it was such a... it's a thing that maybe Christian could have disagreed to if he wasn't a businessman. If he at least was a businessman, maybe he would go the opposite way and say, I want to keep this to remain looking strong. You can't take it off me after 24 hours. You've got to do something else. So that's why I believe that there's more to this. I think, Christian's going to be on that path now. I did think it was interesting what he said, that there was this whole thing of Vince having a vision, if you like, at the end of Extreme Rules, that match with Del Rio and Christian.
Yeah, I think somebody said that the whole reason Christian did go over was because of that reason. Vince had this vision of Edge and Christian celebrating while they could before Edge totally took his extended break. With Christian, I wonder how many people in the chat room were aware of the spoilers before they watched it. Did you get the spoiler and then watch it, or did you not hear anything about it and just see it on Friday night? And your thoughts on that, I think we'll have to get to definitely in a while, and with the Skype callers, because I think that's an interesting topic. But I think for me, and you'd probably agree with this, having the spoilers made that Smackdown a whole lot more entertaining, to know that Christian knew that he had to do that job, and even from his entrance, he was really cherishing that moment with the belt around his waist, taking his time coming down, even kissed the title goodbye. All things worth noting for that guy, that just in case anything ever did happen, a quick injury like Edge or politics, or for whatever reason, that might be his only shot with that, or not shot, but I suppose 5 days with the belt around his waist. So I did feel a bit sorry for poor Christian, but I can't stop laughing at the whole thing either.
The match was believable, and I think if they had done it any other way, if it had been quick, if it had been a screw job. Now, if you'd believe the dirt sheets when they originally started talking about this, before they knew for fact, the spoilers were there, but it took a while to confirm that's what happened. And a lot of guys were saying that there was screw job stuff going on, and it kind of led me to think there was some sort of screw job, when obviously it was just a belt change, and that's really all it is. This is a thing that has happened quicker than maybe some have expected, but he did hold the belt, and he's got to give that to himself, and he did come out on a Smackdown as a champion and cut a promo. So that is certainly stuff for the highlight reel. Perhaps stuff, a guy maybe never thought he was going to have. A guy like Christian expects maybe to hang around the mid-card. Look at Edge on the other side with all those world titles to his name. Not just the World Heavyweight, but also the WWE Championship as well. So ultimately, he's come out of this with something somewhat more visible. Is this a Christianized, as you would say, TNA thing, where they're kind of, punishing the guy yet again, or has that all gone at this point?
It's hard to call that one. I'd say possibly there's an element to that, as it is a continuing trend with most of the TNA people that return to WWE. On the other side, Christian, I'm sure, is happy that he doesn't have a Cena over there, and that his best buddy Edge, who was kind of stealing his spotlight for quite some time, is out of the picture too. So he's got the Viper to contend with, and as you said, Mark Henry and Cali aren't exactly the greatest people to be stuck in a feud with. So either way, without the belt or with the belt, I think Christian will be okay.
Now let's talk to everybody in our live Justin.tv chat room. I'm sure it's a very controversial subject for many of our viewers, including of course our mod Captain Charisma Y2J. I think many of us note the guy as being one of the top Christian fans, and I'm going to now scroll back through the live chat room and get reactions to what has been said so far. Now, Mr. Wrestling 2006, I think you are joining us in the room tonight, and you are indeed are very welcome. Let's talk your comments. WWE has always been an entertainment company. Just ask Vince. He was telling Ted Turner that back in the early 90s. Let's move on now. Dave Birmingham, what do you think about this crazy week of WWE? Cena title, Orton title, Christian losing it. Not a lot of matches on this week's Raw, and not a mention of any matches in the next pay-per-view. But there is talk on the dirt sheets now of a main event that has been sort of trailed, if you like. I'm going to call up that information to make sure that I'm getting it right, actually. I don't think it's as such a spoiler, but basically the arena has talked about a match that's possibly going to happen, and they're looking at an I Quit match between Cena and The Miz at that Over the Limit.
It was going to happen, wasn't it? I mean, it was just going to happen. You know, I really don't see why Cena had to take the title, I have to say, and all of that. I don't see the logic in it, really, unless it was some corporate thing or he needed to have it for something that's coming up that's important or some other reason. But other than that, I thought actually why he won it was so they could drive it home with the Rock thing, but I thought it was probably a reference to it. Wasn't certainly wasn't a big deal made about it on Monday night. So
that's right. Now, of course, as we were taken off the air during last week's pay-per-view, Extreme, whatever it was, I think it was a bit extreme, but Extreme Rules, it did deliver. We said that on YouTube. Unfortunately, we didn't get a chance to conclude our thoughts there last Sunday as we were yanked from the internet air, if you like. Justin.tv, as we said, decided that basically we were copyright material. Now, I will give it to them that basically we had backgrounds up, but backgrounds are on every single channel on this entire website. We won't put any more backgrounds up, but a year on, we've never been pulled, and sadly they decided to do it on the night. So anyone who was in here live, we do apologise, but again, not our fault. Now, to me, it left us in a very precarious position. I think both of us were worried during the week that the channel was gone for good, and it could very well have been, because they can make that decision, and it just makes you wonder why we should, I suppose, continue to use the website if, you know, they don't respond to emails.
Yeah, bunch of chancers. Well, I think I'm not going to use the S word, the headquarters. I think people will know what I'm talking about anymore, because last time that we did that, we didn't last too long. But they shouldn't be pulling us down. I mean, I think we had a little chat about this online last week, and a little response video and a response email. But those jabronis didn't get back to us, so I think if it happens again, it'll be maybe time to find a new home.
Certainly
3 strikes and they're out.
That's right, and you know, unfortunately, at the very beginning, it happened to us at the WrestleMania, so in theory we have 2 now. And you know, from what I've seen guys broadcast on these websites, even on the night when we switched to other channels and found the event playing live, but they still felt the need to get rid of us. But yeah, it does make you wonder why you're going to bother when the guys won't even respond to emails, and that's absolutely ridiculous, seeing as I've probably emailed them maybe 4 times now over the course of a few months, not just this last time, and they don't actually get back to emails. So Justin.tv are beyond useless in terms of administration, and yeah, you know, there are other sites out there. You know, like I said to them, the entire wrestling section is copyright infringement. It wouldn't exist if it were not for video being played that was not the owner of the channel's property. That's another story altogether, but that's what happened.
Jabronis, that's all I can say.
Absolutely. So Smackdown this week was much renewed, if you like, because this was the start off of the Raw changeover. We got a lot of guys sent from Raw to Smackdown in the draft, and also, you know, they do this. When they do a draft, they usually tie it in with something like a belt change. And to get that spoiler out early on Tuesday, I wouldn't have been surprised if maybe they sent it out themselves to get us watching.
Yeah, I think so. I think so. It would be a strong one to pull viewers in, especially with the new roster and the fresh look on SmackDown, which was great actually.
I liked it.
Yeah, it was terrific. I think I only fast forwarded through one part, and that was wherever Big Show was. Wherever he was, I think I fast-forwarded through that.
A lot more entertaining this week. They've started throwing those guys on nicely. Now, firstly to note the Sheamus versus Daniel Bryan match, which has been brought to Smackdown. Of course, that was supposed to be a Mania match, and it didn't make it. It became the dark match, and a lot of people wondered why. Well, it seems like we found out now they're on Smackdown.
Good match, though.
Good match, and this is a place where they can deliver.
It's all about the wrestling there now, isn't it?
It is. Even TNA this week has returned to wrestling somewhat. NXT as well has to be mentioned. We'll be speaking about that later. If you are joining us here on YouTube, this is indeed the justin.tv live stream that you can catch every Sunday, and certainly I'm glad that you can join us live if you're with us in the chat room. Drifter88, hello to you, and you're saying, I thought WWE was going to get away from the same old. Mr. Wrestling, you think the title switch was part of the deal to get Orton to go to Smackdown?
I reckon so, yeah.
You know, he's certainly, he works the politics.
I reckon so.
Really, could it have happened any other way when you think about it? They had to send the belt to Smackdown, and you know, we did know Del Rio was on Raw, so there was that kind of, we knew element to it.
Things were in place.
I suppose the surprise came the next night.
I didn't think Orton would take that title. It didn't even cross my mind that soon, but I suppose logically it does make sense now that he's fresh on the brand and they need a kind of a big newcomer, even though in a sense he's not really, but for some people maybe, to be the face of that place with his belt. And Christian, although he's decent and he's been around the block, I think the Viper kind of has a bit more pull, doesn't he, really?
Certainly does. Now the Cody Rhodes promo is getting better and better each week. The guy came out this week with those plastic, cardboard, whatever, those brown paper bags at least in their hands to cover up the audience, and I have to say I enjoyed this promo once again. You know, I'm looking past now the guy's size. I'm not looking at him as a guy who's maybe not as big as maybe a WWE guy is expected to be, but that's exactly what's unique about him. He can deliver a promo and almost gets me to that point where he's believable in terms of being that kind of evil character now.
I think he's very believable, very believable. I have to correct myself on something at Extreme Rules. I was questioning why he you know, got that mist in the eyes, but of course there's holes in that mask I didn't even realise.
I know.
So, apologies about that one. Cody, you know, yeah, I think his promos are great, where he is character-wise is great. The whole gimmick's brilliant. The only thing and criticism I have about it is the promos were very the same the last few. I didn't see much of a difference between them. I know he's doing the thing with the bag, but everything else was pretty much the exact same promo. That's one thing. It's like I've seen this already. I've seen this one, so there was nothing different even. That's my only criticism of it.
It's true. You know, I kind of think he should have gone to Raw. With the momentum he's gained and that successful match at WrestleMania, I think it was time for him to go there. Maybe it was too packed roster and they wanted to keep some quality for SmackDown, and that's where I'm going to put the guy now in terms of you know, what I think of him as a worker. He is a quality guy, and it's a guy that he's going to evolve over time, because look at the start that someone like a Dustin Rhodes had when you had that angle with the $1 Million Man and Dusty Rhodes, and the guy looked young back then. He didn't have any gimmickry, no costumes or anything to set him apart, and that's exactly where Rhodes started. He could go right that way.
I think Goldust, or whatever his name is, Dustin Runnels, pulled him aside and told him, listen, you need something strong if you want to stick out in this business. And I'm sure Dusty pulled Dustin aside when he was a young pup and said the same thing, even if it did mean the two of them having a bit of fisticuffs about it when Dustin took it to the extreme with Goldust. With Cody Rhodes, I think they probably would have been a bit fearful of putting him on Raw because he would have just rocketed. I think he would have went right up, and sometimes when you have a guy with a gimmick that is that good like that one, you know, people just get behind it and it goes through the roof. So I think for fear that might happen too quickly, maybe just keep him in tow a little bit on SmackDown.
Speaking of guys that come from wrestling families, I was interested to see the reports about Brett DiBiase this week on the dirt sheets. A lot of people speculated that the guy had been released. Of course, updates to that say that he was in fact refereeing at FCW taping. So it's almost like they stuck him on to stop the rumour mongers from talking. And in this case, I would have been sad actually to see Brett DiBiase go, because I can actually see some kind of brothers tag team there. Now something has to happen with Ted DiBiase. Certainly he's not getting any kind of natural push now. Nobody really seems to be interested at all with Ted DiBiase. He's so far down the pile at this stage. I think it's depressing really to see him there.
I think a combination of the $1 million team / kind of frat boys somehow will get,
that's good.
Get both of those guys over and give them a nice little spot. But tag team wrestling in the E,
with Alex Riley even. You might throw that guy in there. And speaking of Alex Riley, I mean, that guy is going to have a lot to do to sort of come back after that Miz angle. Now, what a great start it was to his career. He's got so much to follow up on that, but you know, during the Miz Riley angle, I actually did see Riley as a guy you could almost throw in Miz's position. Now, I know the work rate and the kind of ring stuff might not be up to scratch yet, but he's really an up-and-comer.
Yeah, I think his only problem is the mannerisms are too similar now. I think he's taken too much from Miz. Even his facial expressions are very Miz-esque, you know, almost too Miz-esque. I think that's going to hold him back, unfortunately.
You're right, it is almost a mirror situation. I'm sure he's looked up to the Miz and probably cannot believe his luck to think he's ended up at such an amazing position for so long. I think like those guys from the core, you know, Nexus started off as a huge angle, and the core kind of is where they are now on SmackDown. Now this week when I looked at the core, immediately I noticed something. Of course it was Ezekiel Jackson coming out first. It was his match, taking on the Big Show. A great big man match here. I thought both these guys, they're meant to be in the ring with each other. You know, you can maybe diss an Ezekiel when he's taking on, you know, Yoshi Tatsu.
You can believe they'll have a fight.
You can, yeah. I actually totally agree. Yeah.
He's a powerhouse, that Big Zeke, isn't he?
He's good. I mean, we forget he was with D. Brian Kendrick. He's actually the veteran.
That's true, yeah.
He was injured for so long, I actually forgot that he spent so much time on TV. And I think even, was he in a team with Kozlov? Or was that somebody else?
Possibly, yeah.
You know, he's actually
been
done
around
quite
the
a
block.
lot. You know, do you think maybe he's leading those guys in the locker room now, even Wade Barrett?
I would probably imagine he is out of the core. He has to be, yeah.
So I think the core, as I look now at your comments here, and do join in on YouTube, on the comments, if you want to say anything about what we're saying.
There's heat between them all now, isn't there?
That's what I hear.
Yeah.
And even backstage, you know, it could be a real deal. On TV, we see that they're starting to fall out now.
That's it, the core implosion. Yeah, maybe, I think they can drag it out for another few weeks.
Indeed, Dave Birmingham regards Cena winning the title. We'll speak a bit about that. That's certainly a subject all in itself. Sonicakuma, Christian needs to stay as a main event player on SmackDown. RKMO, Cena Miz, I Quit match. And Captain Charisma, stay away for 7 to 8 years. I presume maybe you're talking about who? I suppose Cena maybe? Yeah, Cena, you want to see him gone. Your thoughts on that one? I mean, the belt win that we didn't get to talk about to everybody here on Justin.
It doesn't really... I'm not too... Wouldn't be too pushed about it. It's not going to change my life. But I just don't... I didn't see the logic after Monday. I left it until Monday was over. And I thought they might go heavy on Cena being the champ and Rock being his opponent for Mania. Yada yada. But they didn't, so... benefits have yet to be seen, I think.
What I liked more than that title win was what we didn't see, which was that video of Cena after the event, and he had a very important announcement about some world events that were taking place in and around Extreme Rules. But Cena won the belt, and basically it's a time now where we're maybe going to go back to that non-stop reign. That would be better than, for me anyway, the Miz thing.
It can be funny. I did enjoy one of those C Nation Never Give Up reigns. Almost joined, or I think we did actually at one point.
Fully fledged members.
Not for long. Maybe it's time to get the cards back out.
I think so.
clock in.
You know, I looked at the spinner belt and I wondered how long that thing is going to stay around. I know they kind of place a lot of faith in a belt, and it does hang around. They don't really chop and change it like the TNA with their kind of title. But basically, you're left now with the spinner belt and Cena once again. So how long can this go on for? You know, since I've started really paying attention again, mid-2000s, this is all I've seen.
And the spinner belt is like a heat-seeking missile, isn't it? And when it's attached onto Cena, even more so, I think so. It's a heat seeker, isn't it? That one's a heat seeker, that belt.
It's interesting policy because, of course, you think about maybe a TNA who they did that with the Jeff Hardy belt, and they knew that it was going to draw fan attention and that people were going to be annoyed about it. But, you know, is that what you want to do? I suppose maybe you want to make a belt now controversial. It keeps it a talking point, and I think maybe the Miz did do that. I have to give him.
It was kind of funny what he did with it all the same. I do like the old school belts. You know, I just would have liked them to keep. I know maybe the logo was an issue with the whole pandas and all that stuff back in the days, but if they just kept the old belts. I liked the old IC title. I liked the old World Heavyweight Championship. Never was too into the Austin belts or anything after that, I have to say. I just like the old school belts all the way.
I think back to the Warrior one. And you know, the different colour. Of course, Slaughter took that and he retained the Warrior colour for, was it just a night? Did it change the next time?
It was blue at the time.
Was it? Yeah, I think it went black then, didn't it? Or
black,
did it? I mean, that was a great belt. I'm glad the Intercontinental is somewhat similar. It's not the exact same, is it?
It's different. Yeah,
it is
different.
It looks to me, it reminds me of the old one.
Yeah.
Could be altogether different, but certainly from what I remember, that is what I see. Now, Rhodes is the only decent character to come out of WWE in some time. Mac Attack 90, and Drifter Del Rio does the same promo as well.
That's true. Yeah, that's true.
I actually, going back on the Cody Rhodes thing, will say you're right there. The promo has been very, very similar week on week. I think it seems to me to be getting better.
It is better, yeah.
I know if you get to deliver the same thing, eventually you'll be like getting better at it. But you know, what's left? The core, as I was saying there a little bit ago, I'd like to see them pushed. Funnily enough, I've turned the corner on the core. I'm not sure was it the Jackson beatdown this week, but what you have on there now is what we had on Raw last year. You've got a lot of elements in place there. You've got the Sheamus thing that could go on. Orton's in there. The core could be Nexus once again now. They're in a strong enough place, I think.
Yeah, they got some believable guys. Well, maybe two. And the multinational thing probably makes it funnier, but I just think it's the quick rise when it comes to those groups. You can get away with it with an Evolution or a, Main Event Mafia, but when they're just kind of rookie guys and they're supposed to be that believable, I think that's always going to hold it back, no matter what way you look at it.
Now we have to also let you know you can Skype us. The user is Wrestledope. We're going to open that a little bit earlier tonight and get some of your thoughts on the week's programming. Just a few weeks out now from Over the Limit, and if you're checking us out on YouTube, you can if you can't perhaps make it on the Sunday nights, 9 GMT, 4 Eastern, 1 Pacific, you'll always find us here for WWE pay-per-views all night long. And indeed that's a great time as well for lots and lots of viewers in the chat room. That's I think when the biggest amount of people come on, and certainly if you are a wrestling fan and maybe you aren't planning on ordering the pay-per-view, you can come here and check it out live. But I have been told that this week, the coming one is going to be on Sky Sports actually.
Oh, that's alright, that's okay.
Finally, after about 6 months.
So when is Over the Limit? Is it 3 weeks?
Over the Limit is 2 or 3 weeks time actually. I think it's May 20 something or something like that.
End of May, that's not too bad.
It's going to be here quicker than ever.
They do fly, don't they? They do fly.
And we've got Cena, Miz, I Quit.
You could probably call the rest of the card while we're here.
I'd say it would be easy
but
to
we
do.
won't.
Is it going to be, yeah, let's not do that. Christian Orton, maybe World Heavyweight.
I would say that could happen.
Das Wonder Panda, hello to you. Talking about Layla, who of course is important as well due to the fact that, well, she is on Smackdown and Michelle McCool is no longer with her, as we saw Layla this week attempting to come out in babyface mode. Unfortunately, the crowd weren't so much behind it. They were kind of dead in a way.
I just don't think that they did the best of jobs in putting her over as babyface. I think it was too much of the crying in the last couple of weeks and schizo kind of stuff for her to be identified.
Yeah, it's actually surprising that Michelle McCool has kind of disappeared at this point, and it was actually very quickly decided and followed through. I suppose Taker, he had something to say about it, and of course a lot of people mentioning now that they look at him as retired actually, and that perhaps all he's got left is that next Mania match. It makes sense to me, because how many more angles could you actually run with the guy now?
They'll run this angle, guaranteed that he is retired, and I guarantee you'll probably get some official statement more so, and they'll go heavy on it for a little bit, not overly on it, but they'll make the internet wrestling fans know that he is, in brackets, retired until it comes to next March, where he won't let it rest. No matter how beaten up he is now, he's not going to be as beaten up 12 months from now, and he'll want that 20, holiday or no holiday, he'll be back out of it.
He will want it. It's the perfect ending to the guy's career, and fair play to him for having made it all this way through what they're saying now is more injury than we actually realise. The guy could be in serious pain. It's probably an ongoing thing, because if it wasn't, he'd be in there. Maybe he should have given up earlier. Maybe they shouldn't have pushed him like really the workhorse he became, because at times they were relying on him to sell Mania. Of course, those 2 matches with Michaels, they really were the selling point for that, and maybe it was too much pressure at the time.
He's had 3 rough matches in 3 years. Compare that to what a Daniel Bryan does on a weekly basis. He shouldn't be complaining. I know he's been around the block, but come on, get over it.
It's true, yeah. I mean, it's either you either want to work, you either want to be there and be a guy who's on all the house shows, do everything, or you kind of give it up, really, isn't it? And it's somewhere you kind of have to give all to fans. Arguably there's times where maybe he decided himself it was time to just pick up and leave for a while, and I suppose a guy gets to that point where he has the status to do that. But as you say, you mentioned those guys that toil away every day and they're on the road for maybe 300 days of the year. It's always going to be something debated about Taker. Was he pushed too much? Was he a guy who really deserved it? I think people think he deserved it, but were there other guys that deserved it just as much? Maybe
probably it was the gimmick.
The non-stoppable gimmick. Certainly Taker has played it well, and politics-wise as well, probably everything, ring psychology. He's just a guy who literally got 10 out of 10 in all the
in fairness,
areas.
Not the guy. I mean, Jesus Christ, he did more than I'll ever do in the WWE.
Now, Dave Birmingham, Lillian Garcia looked good on Raw last week, singing the national anthem. Xbox Miker, Zeke and Mason Ryan splitting from their groups is great, and Das Wunderpanda, Cena will unify titles before Mania. Now, this has been said where there's a lot of talk of title unification, and that's what it's all about, really, this whole Cena getting the title now. And is he going to have this till WrestleMania? I'm starting to think maybe that would be a good thing. And even if The Rock has no plans on taking it, you can actually throw him in there and say, look, this is a title match now.
I think if they were wise and if that was the case, letting Cena retain is what I would do if I was booking it. Let him go the whole way from now to Mania and let him retain and beat Rock with it, because that will just drive people mental.
It certainly would. Now, Philabuster in the room. The spinner belt should be eliminated, as well as the term bling bling. Dave Birmingham, I don't hope WWE have a Cena versus Del Rio somewhere down the line. Captain Charisma, my favourite belt is the Euro belt. Of course, that Triple H European Championship. He was one of the best holders of that, I think.
It was, Davey Boy.
I couldn't remember. I could not tell you, actually. And why Triple H at the time? He needed something to get over at the time, What a weird time to go back to, if you look at it, where you had someone like Taker. Yeah, we're trying to keep those mics at the same level, but we'll try and do our best with that. Of course, the levels here tricky to manage in one sense, but Yeah, it should be good. We'll just try and keep an eye on it on an ongoing basis, but it seems to be fine there. So yeah, what we were saying, Drifter 88. Back in the day, it was the belt. The best who had the belt, and a match for the belt meant something. Now all it means to me is who is going over next pay-per-view, and it's a good point. Now I have to say, I kind of looked at it this week, and I feel like I even lost the passion recently to even think about, okay, this guy is going to go over and why has he gone over. I used to always think that stuff, but it's something about the outcomes lately and the way things have gone that I've been less interested in that side of it.
They can make it funny, I think, like the Christian Orton thing, but for some it's not taken that way. I don't think. Two sides to every argument, I suppose, but yeah, I don't think I've ever really cared too much, as I say, about who won what. I think the only one really I cared for was Warrior Hogan when I was about 10.
Yes.
That's probably the only wrestling match that meant anything to me ever in my life.
Warrior Hogan is one that we'll all remember forever. And actually, you'd forget there was a Warrior Savage as well, wasn't there? That's one that I don't recall that well. I need to go back and check that out. But I think the mic, if you just go right up there, for some reason, again, it's always different. But this week they're going a bit low on me. But overall, I think we should keep it. Even then, now, try it there again.
Check. Hello.
It does seem to be cutting out a little bit. I don't know why that is, but we'll try and fix that before it becomes an issue. I suppose, is it a loose connection there? Try it again there and try it.
IT deal.
That could be dodge as well.
Check it.
Yeah, it seems all right there. Try it again there.
Check.
I have no idea.
There's gotta be something on the end of it, possibly. Is it? Where's it going to?
Yeah, it's going here, and we're turned up.
Is there another line in there you can use?
I could try that, yeah, we'll try that one. But bear with us as we are here live. Try it there.
Check.
That's fine.
There we go.
Who knows? These are the glitches that you get on the live show. So if you're seeing this on YouTube, this is what it is. Come to Justin and see all these errors. And indeed, yeah, we at one point, we did have an interview with Jericho, but we can manage these things. Trust me, they can be managed. Now, Skype us, Wrestledope. I'll keep an eye on those audio levels. And yeah, it's always tricky. But anyway, so, yes. When will Chris Jericho return back to WWE? Would everyone want him to return, says Dave Birmingham. I really believe I'm hogging the show. Politics, says Drifter88. Yeah, Bubba Dave, good now. Thanks to have you, Bubba Dave, with us today. Philabuster, Wayne Bloom is in every interview. I'm not sure what that means, but I'm not much of a sports guy.
I don't know who Wayne Bloom is. Is he the guy who's on... Speaking of Tough Enough, I can't get that bloody song out of my head.
Yes.
Oh, Christ almighty. Now they have, even as I was saying to the old missus there earlier on, they have an ad on, or a commercial, as you might call it in the United States of America, for... I didn't even know it was Chris Brown. Chris Brown, singer of the Tough Enough theme. I think it's called Champion, is it? Born a Champion or something like that?
You know, I got bored, actually, with Tough Enough. I have to admit.
Stuck in my head anyway, that song. I'm going to hit Chris Brown if I see him ever.
I actually tried. I watched about the first 4 episodes, and I got so sick of the sob stories, and I just kind of want to see the result. I look forward to the setup on Raw, and I look forward to seeing whatever the payoff angle is. But other than that, I'm done, I think, with that.
I watched it last night, actually, Monday's one. It was okay. That skid marks guy is gone.
Right, finally.
He got the boot, yeah. That was funny enough. There was funny parts in it, but I think the only thing is, I don't know, I liked the first one where they were in around the arenas and they were at the Raws and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Doing the crazy stuff. I think you said the same thing, actually. But
you know,
you were right about it, you know.
Yeah, I mean, those little glimpses are good, the backstage sort of stuff. But I think my whole thing this week, I found it quite tricky to get all, I suppose, the 4 wrestling shows, the NXT, Smackdown, Raw, and also, of course, Impact, which we'll speak about next. The whole changeover, the brand new name, and what that means for the company. But yeah, now I'm kind of redoubling efforts to get every one of those watched every week. I know when you're in the habit, it's as easy as anything, but quite honestly, I found it so tough. In recent months with TNA, and I suppose if you have to drag yourself to watch something, it's not right. But let's move to TNA now. Of course, the big story this week: Jeff Jarrett, Hogan, many others talking about the changeover in name. The new program title will just be Impact. Now, clarification on this apparently says that TNA will remain in some form, so it's not going to be a full company, we'll say, changeover. Now, it's been back and forth, and it's been very confusing, actually.
Maybe the TNA name with the Impact show name, maybe?
Yes,
is it
that's
Impact or just...
Well, what they
Impact?
Say is we're looking at Impact.
We're looking at Impact.
We're going to be watching Impact, but I think that some way they'll have TNA there.
It might be beneficial to them. I suppose we'll just have to see. They've tried some stuff before, like the live stuff and extra programming and some things. Well, everything actually probably went under the radar a little bit. Maybe it might. There's no harm in trying, I think. No harm in trying. They got rid of the six-sided ring, so why not get rid of the name TNA?
Yeah, I think it's a positive change here. And I think we're looking at something now where you're going to have maybe a renewed interest in pushing what it is now. Now, admittedly, this week, the first week, I paid full attention in so long. I did catch an episode from a few weeks back recently, but I'm going to, again, be back on this because it's matured now to a point where they've worked out what those kind of, surreptitious filming angles are all about. What are they actually doing? Is it consistent every single week? And I think now it kind of makes sense to continue this kind of way of filming, and I like it, actually. I like what they've done. But again, there's too much, and I think this is my biggest issue with it, of let's throw everybody out there every week.
Yeah, I know what you mean. That Immortal Stable and all that, it's fairly big. But at least everybody has something, as opposed to for the most part, everybody's got a decent enough little angle going on over there, I liked the kind of push of what's his face, Bobby Roode. I think he's going to break out of this deal with the rest of them, and so he should. And what's the chap's name? Who's their Sin Cara?
Sangrito, is it?
Sangrito. Who I read somebody plays him. Is it what's his face? That little chap that used to run around the place. Amazing Red.
Really?
I
That's
think
Sangrito?
I think it is.
I
actually.
didn't know that. Yeah, that's actually entertaining.
Somebody like that now, but I mean, in fairness, they could have spent a few more quid on the old ringwear, couldn't they? In fairness, Christ. It looks like it was just put together 5 minutes before this show.
It does, actually. It does. Did they just put this together as a quick Sin Cara sort of match, if you like?
It's kind of funny, though.
Throw it on and say, look, we did the luchadors. I think they've every right to, actually, because basically WWE took Karma, Awesome Kong, and let's be honest, somebody was watching the Knockouts division.
Oh yeah, they didn't change her much at all. Yeah, the big monster heel. Kind of like what they're doing with her, though, I have to say.
She was so part of what made that Knockout division early on so good. If you didn't have her, you wouldn't have, had anyone for, say, Gail Kim to play off, or, Velvet Sky. Any of them wouldn't have any kind of sort of monster diva, if you like, to take on and to be the real kind of sort of biggest part of it. And I think she's going to do great things there.
It is good to stand out, like, even if you're ODB as well. At least it wasn't just another one of those chicks and boots kind of deal, They looked different, they acted different, and they did make that Knockouts division really good when it was really good. Unfortunately, it took a bit of a knock when Bischoff and Hogan came along, but I think slowly but surely they're pulling it back together by the seams.
You mentioned Robert Roode there, and of course that guy cutting a promo this week on Hogan. It's kind of funny for me because I haven't seen this stuff for a while, and to come back and to see the almost legit shoot in the eyes of Robert Roode, and you wondered how much of that was real. I'm sure Hogan told him to play it up, but they can still shoot and mean it, if you like.
That's a good point, actually. It's good to see how heavily they're going on the reality aspect, aren't they? They're really taking up a few notches with Karen and Jeff and Kurt, and that whole angle with Hogan and stuff. I think they'll do it even with Hardy as well. Guarantee you he'll be back for this next pay-per-view with Matt Hardy by his side. Guarantee you.
Matt Hardy, Cold Blood, and this week backstage talking to Bully Ray. Again, these segments start to fit into the overall storyline better. This really is actually the male soap opera that maybe often I might say to people, I watch it because it's a soap opera. It really is that now, more so than kind of the cheesy setups that WWE have. The other thing that really stood out to me was the Mexican segment where they were all in the ring with a promo. Now, this week I just happened to obtain an episode. My cousin Don Lode, he sorted me out with that one. It was in HD, and I saw something that I've been missing. Of course, we don't get it in HD here. This actual story looked to me like something I'd see on WWE TV. It was as good, really, or as bad, whatever way you look at it.
It is good. I mean, the last few were, not all of them, but it definitely got better. It took a bad lull, though, and I think the general public definitely agreed that it was getting worse and worse as the weeks went on. But, they've pulled it back nicely. And like I say, I think everybody now, they have something. At least if it's crap, but at least it's something. Unlike people like Yoshi, although he made a quick appearance on one of the shows, NXT, for about 30 seconds or something. But they have storylines, and it's never a bad thing, I suppose, when it comes to wrestling, is it?
Everybody who like myself actually kind of tuned out, and I did hear from a lot of people who said, look, I was a viewer and I'm not watching that crap anymore. Maybe have a look at it again. I know it does take a little bit of extra time when you're watching all that WWE stuff, but give it another try, because I think at the moment anyway, they're pushing those young guys that were the staple in the beginning. And it's different this time, because it's not the young guys versus main event mafia. It's actually, they look strong. You were even given a chance to see, I think it was it was AJ, and it was definitely Christopher Daniels and the other long hair Kaz. Indeed, those three guys, they got a chance to do one of those kind of secret filming bits. Now the acting wasn't perfect, but they were shooting about stuff like Jay Lethal earlier, and you kind of got a glimpse of what they might do backstage anyway. Shooting on Hogan, Bischoff and all those.
Well, again, that the reality aspect comes back into it nicely. I forgot about that one. It's heavy on the reality stuff there, isn't it? They're bringing the dirt sheets into play. I think they'll do it. They should do it anyway with Jeff Hardy. There would be. I think you get some decent ratings with something like that for them.
Absolutely, they could try a lot with who they have. I mentioned the thing about every show seems to open either backstage or in the ring with 18 guys, and I just don't know why. Like I was saying, I know they need to be paid, but and you got to use them as much as possible to get the value out of them. They've used stables more than anyone.
Yeah.
And I think Fortune are now kind of babyface, or
I still don't. I still can't get my head around just what's happening there. But yeah, Immortal's big, and so is Fortune.
Of course, knocking around in there since I last looked, we've got Bully Ray in the main event spot, and Sting is there as well. Guys like AJ Styles, names I've written down here because the combinations to me were somewhat fresh. Now, of course, the Robert Roode thing again was something different. The other thing that struck me was the Velvet Sky and Karen Angle thing. We've kind of had that Jarrett Angle thing expanded. I'm still calling her Karen Angle, but it is Karen Jarrett. She actually has taken on a bit of an accent now as well. More of the kind of Jeff Jarrett
southern drawl.
Yeah.
He's such a funny guy, Jeff Jarrett. He's been so consistent when you think about it, hasn't he, over the years? I don't think he's ever had anything dull, and he's always hilarious. And they've got some seriously good chemistry, the two of those, Karen and Jeff, on screen. It's kind of funny. I wonder how Kurt does legit feel about the whole situation.
I'd say he probably started off a little bit well, probably majorly pissed with the actual thing happening in the first place, Karen and Jeff marrying. Then the angle probably turned to dollar signs, maybe, in his eyes, and maybe again it annoyed him at the start, but I'd say at this point, Jesus, they've been on that thing for so long.
I'm sure they're all happy, aren't they?
It does kind of, in a way, it's the one thing, I'm kind of glad when I come back that it's still there, actually. Keep it going for a year, I mean...
You can drag it forever.
Never pull them apart,
yeah,
you know.
You can drag it forever.
Because I honestly believe somewhat soon you're going to see Angle maybe disappear, but more likely go back to WWE.
Here's one for you. A report came in here this week into the HQ about a sexual harassment case in TNA. Did you read about this?
I didn't.
And I suppose it's not really a spoiler. It doesn't really matter if I say it out loud because it is what we do. But Dixie's husband, Karen, apparently put in a lawsuit against TNA for sexual harassment against Dixie Carter's husband. And the reason she's been getting so much TV time is because of that. She's kind of been told to keep it down.
Right, of course they could if they were, you know, careful but smart, maybe work this into dollar signs for them. Maybe they could make some money. You know, the kind of pushing those real life scenarios has been such a big kind of part of bringing angles that draw money, and I honestly think that Jared Angle thing, that would draw money for me in WWE. You know, I could watch that play out anywhere and it would be interesting. Anything that's got that real life thing.
I think they also said in the report that Dixie, it's the reason she's been off TV for quite a few weeks. It's because she wants to keep her head down with all this mumbo jumbo that's going down in Orlando. So bad stuff there, that guy. If that's a legit true story. Bob Carter, is that the dad, or is that the
I believe
the husband?
Bob Carter is the father.
The father. I'm sure he's not happy about that.
Panda Energy.
Panda Energy taking a dent.
Now, Mr. Wrestling, Blue Blazer was not worse than the Trash Man thing. That was Duke the Dumpster Drosy. Philabuster, does it work out well when you let your personal life spill into an angle? These are comments from our justin.tv chat room. And you can join us here live on Sundays, 9 GMT, 4 Eastern. Drifter88, I don't want to see Sting drop that belt at any time soon. I want Sting to make that belt worth something. Mr. Wrestling, Bully Ray had a good character going, but doesn't belong in the main event.
Yeah, I can see why they picked him over poor Devon. But I don't think he's up in that bracket. He can talk, he can definitely talk, but that's not to say he's good at everything else. He's just one of those ECW kind of brawl guys with the tables and chairs, isn't he?
Of course, there is, again, big spoilers out there about who that network guy is. Do you know who that guy is?
I did see it, yeah.
I'm sure you all know it as well, but let us know if anybody doesn't want to know who the TNA network executive is. Then let us know, and we won't. Well, we probably will, but we'll tell you to cover your ears or turn the sound off. But it's been revealed, and I think we're going to find out this week who Hogan and Bischoff's nemesis is. Who's the guy that's making the decisions? Now, this guy was with the Young Guys the last time they tried to kind of fight the power. At that point, it was Main Event Mafia. Now it's Hogan and the rest of those guys. Yeah, it's at least something kind of marquee in a way to bring us for that Impact name change. I can comfortably refer to it as just Impact, actually.
Yeah, well, now you see, I saw two different things. One of somebody who made a return and one who was the network exec, so I won't pass any comment. But if it's the one I'm thinking of, the network executive, I don't think that was a good choice.
No, it's a guy that, again, he's been there and probably done that a little bit too much, because we've seen him in that role, you know, that kind of power role before.
All they need there is a guy in a suit. Just any guy that can talk in a suit, send him down to the ring. That's all you need.
If Matt Morgan could talk better, he'd be the guy, wouldn't he? You know, maybe. Well, he was Cornette's kind of assistant. Of course, was Cornette a good boss? I suppose he had the history and those stipulations, though. I never liked the stipulations, and you know, maybe he didn't even book them. Dave Birmingham, I say R-Truth is doing great on the heel turn after 2 weeks. I wonder if WWE will plan an R-Truth versus Cena pay-per-view match sometime soon. I'd say it's possible, easily, yeah.
Can't even remember what he did on Raw, to be honest with you.
And of course, talk of the China stuff as well. China being involved in TNA, which again, something that I saw mentioned. You know, that's going to be a good thing, I think. So
She was a bit of a bad state the last time I saw her.
yeah, I'm surprised actually to see her back. I didn't think she'd ever come back.
She was doing crazy ass stuff there for the last few years, wasn't she?
Absolutely, all over the shop. Actually.
Men's movies.
This is it, yeah, and indeed we want to say hi to everybody in the room tonight. Moderators, Dave Birmingham, Drifter, Mac Attack, Sonic, and Xbox Miker as well. I don't think we've seen one of our other moderators, Matty PNO. Unfortunately, I don't
Maybe
think...
he's on holidays.
Will we fire Matty PNO?
We'll give him a week.
We'll give him a week's grace to come back, but I don't even think he was there on the pay-per-view. Other viewers in the room, we've got Angry Marks, probably from angrymarks.com. I want to say hello. Maybe it's Killer Kev. Glad to hear from you. Don't forget angrymarks.com. We do mention it, and it's nice to have you in here. Of course, Stevie Beat as well. I know you messaged us at some point during the week, and I think maybe somehow you were accidentally misfire banned, but you're no longer banned, and apologies, it certainly wasn't intentional. Bubba Dave, Das Thunder Panda, Irish Rebel, Mr. Wrestling, Phil, Red XO, Ricky DX, Shoots, and Tiger Norm, just some of the guys joining us.
Fantastic stuff.
We're glad to have your company. Mac Attack Truth has the craziest eyes I've ever seen.
Truth's a lunatic. Full stop.
Yeah, a drifter, like Ric Flair said, he wants back in the WWE. They got him wrestling a bunch of boys, and Angry Marks confirming it is Killer Kev. And Killer Kev, I'm not sure if you have the Skype video or audio, but if you would like to join us here live, we would love to hear from you. We've got the Skype a lot more right there. I don't think my audio was there then, but I'll work on that. So yeah, we've got you available.
Yeah, that would be cool.
Via the Skype. So that's
we appreciate the coverage on your Angry Marks website. Thank you.
and there is the audio on the Skype. It can all be done, just a little bit of messing around. So yeah, if you want to give us a shout later, we'd love to hear from you. Maybe updates on your excellent website. I mean, we talked to you before, and we did put that site over for having that legit stuff. You know, this week more than ever, I was looking at dirt sheets, and I kind of value that genuine content more and more. There's so much bullshit, really.
There is a lot of shit out there, yeah, and stuff that's, you know, at the obvious angles, I think, coming up that anybody with a brain cell could probably put together.
Absolutely. So you can see the Skype is available live. You can also see it on this side as well. I was pointing the wrong way, but it's there and you'll be able to be seen. Now it's interesting because we were talking about why we got pulled that night on Justin for the Extreme Rules pay-per-view, and the speculation was that it could well have been, again I'm pointing the wrong way, the video behind us, because they may have kind of thought that was video from the event, when of course it was just you guys on Skype. Now, you know, I really am angry thinking that Justin didn't reply to the email, you know.
They probably get a lot of emails like that.
Yeah.
I just, when we went off and went back into the wrestling side of the Justin channel there was a lot of Extreme Rules actual pay-per-view footage being streamed out, which I think is a little unfair to pull us if that was the case.
Ridiculous to think. And of course there you see the Skype behind us. We'll be able to full screen you as well there. And work? Probably not. I mean, we'll certainly try and make sure the audio is working on all of those shots. And indeed it is now, which it wasn't a second ago. But it's a bit by bit thing, you know, week by week. We definitely try and make it more interactive and easier for you guys to call at us at any point.
I like the second camera. I'm not going to look at it, but I do like it.
It's a good one. It's a good one. Now there it is with just that background. Now we're not in sync with that, unfortunately. I can actually do something here where it might make it a bit in sync. Let's try it. So now you would have us on the webcam mic, which might be in sync. Well, that's a test for later either way. But
yeah, it's cool. It actually looks like we're in the arena fully, doesn't it?
It does, yeah, it does. And as I say, we've the option to put you up there on Skype. at any point, so we'll make ourselves available for that. And yeah, we've got plenty more to talk about tonight, and we've been through some Smackdown, some TNA, more stuff to say as well about general dirt sheet stuff, as well as NXT, which we're going to talk about. And if you'd like to come on and mention anything really you like, we will look forward to hearing from you.
You know, with the NXT deal, it seems to be the norm to kind of do the first couple of weeks of the seasons with the challenges and stuff, and then after about straight into the wrestling aspect, isn't it? Is that the kind of form it's taken, or is it just me noticing that?
It's sorry, I was completely
say season 3, even though whatever, starts off with 3 or 4 weeks of the challenges, and then the last 2 weeks was full on wrestling matches.
Exactly.
That's the format pretty much, isn't it?
Yeah, and actually that's precisely, again, another great point about it this week, that there was all matches. There was none of this stuff going on. I was really surprised actually to see 2 or 3 matches on there and none of that obstacle course stuff.
I know, it's funny for me. I think when I watched it this week for the first time in many weeks, and when it went straight to the wrestling, I kind of like, oh, where's the challenges? Where's the promo cut and stuff? I like this funny stuff. When that stuff's happening, it's so bad half the time when they're running around in that obstacle course that you're kind of saying, where's the wrestling side of it? You want to see how these guys can work. 50-50 argument, I suppose. But I got about, as I said to you earlier, into the Regal match about 5 minutes in there, and I switched it off. So that was enough for me, I think, for 1 week.
That's right, there was a lot of stuff going on. Now, match-wise, of course, interesting to see, again, Darren Young pushed here. Now, you know, you're saying about how they're kind of doing those challenges to begin and then they kind of drop off after a while. This NXT, in a way, it's almost like they're kind of stretching this one out. And it occurred to me this week more than ever that it's a good work, but it is a massive work in the sense that, you know, they can keep them on there as long as they want and just change over the roster. You know, it's like an ECW with the excuse to go, right, well, all these guys, we're done with them, let's have a whole new fresh 45 minutes or whatever it is. And again, with stuff like Regal and Jacob Novak, you are actually getting something in there entertainment wise, and Regal commentary as well is good.
Who was the chap, one of the former guys they brought out in commentary actually for one match this week?
They had Titus O'Neil.
Titus O'Neil, yeah. He's a strange one, isn't he? With his dog barks and stuff like that.
All I think of Titus O'Neil when I see the guy is Make It a Win. I don't even remember his name now. And actually the Make It a Win thing, I mean, that guy, to me, he looks like a top babyface.
He was. We kind of liked him, I think, when we did stuff with him in the past. I just forgot about him and what his deal was. That Percy Watson guy is doing some dark matches at the moment.
He is indeed. Now, of course, Angry Mark's mentioning that when we switch, we get a bit of an audio changeover. That's intentional, actually, just to try and keep them both in sync, but they're overall should be synced on the main camera. But you said Percy Watson, I read that and I was kind of shocked, actually. Percy Watson is working house shows, and even Steamboat, actually.
The young fella, yeah.
Actually, Ricky Steamboat, apparently he was hosting one of those house shows. Now, that's value, I think.
That's good. That's money for, or value for your dollar, should I say.
It is. It's certainly, it's something we don't get to see enough. Now, maybe we should have gone to those house shows that were here recently. Of course, not TV, so, you know.
Yeah, it's not worth it. If you're going to pay to the house show, you might as well just pay for the extra few quid for the TV, wouldn't you?
I
Fly
think
over.
so. Yeah, definitely.
Well, if they're due in November, I think we'll make the effort once again.
Always wanting to.
Was it Liverpool, you said?
Liverpool, I hear. That's what Dave Birmingham actually mentioned to us a while back, that you can now
that'll be fun.
Look forward to seeing them in Liverpool, which, you know, when you get them in the smaller regional towns, or not regional, but it's smaller than London at least, you know, it's always going to be easier to get to that roster. You know, people are, you know, they're going to be at a local hotel and you probably find them, you know, whereas in London you'll lose them.
That's very true.
So who knows, we could be popping CM Punk and maybe Kane again.
Yeah, it would be good. It would be fun.
We could grab them maybe for a quick interview, maybe talk to Kane, because would they talk to you if you asked them questions?
I'd say cameras, no go, or else it'd just be kayfabed up to the neck, wouldn't it, really?
I think probably that's true. Mr. Wrestling, I would think that those shows were under the reality game show laws, since there is a prize involved. Well, wouldn't it be good if there were actual legit rules? But it does seem to be a show that they kind of, well, they can kind of say, right, we're going to have this for 9 weeks this time. We're going to try out this amount of guys. It's genius, really, to have a chance to be able to bring these guys on and to kind of not worry about the TV seeing them. Maybe they're happy that NXT is sort of somewhat buried in the way that it is at the moment. Now, Chavo Guerrero picking up the slack here, and I'm actually happy now to see Chavo Guerrero.
Yeah, I mean, what was he on there shooting about something on commentary? Was that SmackDown?
Yeah, it was something to do with, Guerrero. It was either Sin Cara.
Sin Cara, I think, yeah. He was saying he did all those moves first and stuff.
That's right.
See, they have these nice touches, and even as horrible as it was to see Cali and Mark Henry come out at the start with Christian, those nice touches do make it funny, I will say. Chavo Guerrero on commentary, I mean, I think somebody like, what's his face, is it Grisham who does SmackDown with...
It's Josh Matthews.
Matthews, I always get him mixed up. He even said something a couple of times like, this is our first, or this is unique, or we've never seen, or would have expected to see this before. So those little touches are kind of funny, I have to say.
They certainly are. They make it, and it's nice to see Todd Grisham is still on commentary, because he was good. I don't know, Josh Matthews did kind of sneak in the back there, and he's got that bit of wrestling background as well, so maybe they think that, let's keep it Josh Matthews, because overall maybe he sounds better. I know he does pick up stuff great, and he actually does come with those sound bites as well, so ultimately a good guy to keep on there.
Booker as well, I think, has delivered. He's been very funny to listen to. If you're listening to the commentary, he gets very excited sometimes, doesn't he, when he's putting stuff over. Christ, funny stuff.
And he's getting better as well.
I think he's good, yeah.
You've got to give him some time. Now, I thought about it this week, about that time where you had Booker on TNA commentary, and he made a complete and utter, I don't know if you remember that, it was a good while ago, it stood out to me because he took the complete piss out of it, basically, and he had absolutely no interest in doing it seriously. You can't blame him in a way. I think he probably joined Don West maybe, and somebody else was sitting beside him, but yeah, this one is doing better, and of course just the sound of the voice as well. He's got that deep sounding voice, and it kind of it contrasts to the other guys who all sound quite similar. They have the kind of broadcast deal.
Yeah, he made some very funny comments. I think the funniest one for me was when Karma comes in and Alicia Fox is in the ring, and he said something like Karma's going to take her on like a chicken wing or something like that, or snap her like a chicken wing. Not to be I better be PC about this one because it is Karma we're talking about, but the fondness for chicken and all that, we don't have to go too much in detail. Yeah, it was just a funny comment, sorry.
Angry Marks, here's some funny logic they didn't think of with Chavo and Sin Cara. Chavo says he originated all of Sin Cara's moves, that he's not seeing anything special, and that ergo Chavo Guerrero is not special. So it does make sense. He's kind of burying himself at the same time. But yeah, that seems to be the Chavo Guerrero thing now. They're trying to get him back, if you like. I don't think it's very wise to have him on commentary, because there's something about his voice. He kind of looks tougher than he sounds.
Yeah.
And even though he's always been the kind of smaller guy, I actually think I'm starting to come around again to this guy, where, even this week he skipped the suplex trifecta, if you like, to avoid that heat. He didn't want the heat this time.
Yeah, I agree with Chavo. His voice doesn't really suit commentary. He's a good worker, I'll tell you. I don't know if it was a house show deal I saw him at, or if you were at one, but for some reason in the back of my head, I think Chavo Guerrero comes up. First thing that comes to mind, that guy's a good worker.
Yeah.
So, maybe underused. He's a bit past it now, though, isn't he? He's never going to get over the way he comes out with that bloody poncho thing, whatever you call it. What do you call it, a poncho?
He's a guy that really needs to get a cruiserweight division back again. That's a place where a guy like that shone, if you like. I remember, Smackdown specific pay-per-views where it was just Smackdown matches opening up with cruiserweights, 4 or 5 of them, and I cannot believe we were sitting watching specific SmackDown pay-per-views, but the Raw ones were great.
Well,
you know, I mean, thinking back to them,
I just can't remember. I probably saw them.
And we did have that one ECW one as well. December to dismember.
Well, it wasn't too long ago, I suppose, wasn't it?
Wasn't. I still think back to it. Mr. Wrestling, guys like Chavo, Santino, etc. have the problem that their characters have been made such a joke that it's almost impossible to take them seriously now.
Well, Santino definitely. Chavo, depends what they do with him, but I think he's just been through that Mark Henry mill so many times at this stage that there's no way back really for some of them, is there?
Simply no way back from that Mark Henry burial. I looked at him this week and I thought, right, go heel a bit, get Tony Atlas back. You missed a trick there.
You know, I thought that I wondered if he had potential to be a world heavyweight champion. That's the only belt I can see him going for, you know. I suppose it is on the brand, but I don't think he can talk really. He can talk, but it's just not very believable.
Absolutely.
If he's supposed to be the world's strongest man, he should be a little bit more on the, you know, threatening side, I suppose.
Tony Atlas is probably ready to work, and I hate to think that what was it, his Oksana counterpart who started doing his job for the other guy, Abraham Washington, who I think is a worker as well.
Have you seen that documentary with Tony Atlas? Did I send that on?
That's right, he's cooking stuff, cooking eggs. He seemed a kind of a humble guy, you know.
It's kind of interesting. I can't remember what it's called. It's on YouTube there. Worth an hour of your life if you were interested.
Not to forget Saba Simba as well. That angle, well, will we ever forget it? I won't. I mean, Saba Simba. What feuds did Saba Simba get in? I mean, he was heel. He was definitely heel.
You know, he actually did an indie show here.
Did he?
Yeah.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah.
As Saba Simba.
As Saba Simba, not too long ago.
Amazing. Yeah.
I know somebody was at it, and they were like, they couldn't believe Saba Simba was down the road.
Yeah, it's one you'd want to get to, and if he's doing the gimmick, the classic gimmick, then certainly by all means go for it. Let's check out Saba Simba. You know, I actually agree with you. I'd like to see it as well.
At the time, I didn't know it was Tony Atlas, but I would have heard of him, I think, as Mr. USA. Yeah, that's what they called him.
Oh yes, yeah.
But I had no idea. Same with Papa Shango and The Godfather and all that stuff. I had no idea it was the same guy.
That's right.
Charles Wright, something like that.
That guy actually, he did so much, didn't he? He was he also the kind of
Karma Mustafa? No.
There was a kind of another gimmick. Yeah, it was kind of a
was he
Mexican-ish?
No? Yeah, it was Karma. The chat room guys will probably know.
They'll
there you go, Karma. Yeah.
There you go. Yeah. Atlas was there in Puerto Rico when Bruiser Brody got killed, says Mr. Wrestling. And hi to Tim as well. Tim, Skype us whenever you like. We are ready to accept that call, and indeed we look forward to hearing from you. A new contact request. Now you can do the exact same. Just add us to Skype, and you know we're trying to keep it to the old 2-hour mark here tonight. So without a doubt, if you do want to give us a buzz tonight, we'll wait on Tim first. If Tim wants to get in touch, and here indeed we have Tim. So let's say hello to Tim. Tim, are you with us? How are you tonight?
Hiya.
How's it going?
How are you?
Hello.
Yes, how are things? You're watching us on Justin. Any thoughts on the business tonight? Is there anything we've said that you maybe agree, disagree with? What are your thoughts on wrestling at the moment?
I've got a good question for you.
Go ahead, yeah.
Guess who it is? Guess which moderator this is?
Is that Captain Charisma Y2J?
Yep.
Amazing.
Charisma.
Charisma.
About time, man.
Charisma makes his debut. We're gonna have to.
Where's your video, dude? Where's your fucking video?
I got a video up, but it's not showing for some strange reason.
Oh, right. Well, it's something we'll try it again. We're going to keep you on. Have you? Yeah, we have you here. So listen, it's been too long. We've never actually spoken to you. I suppose hello is the first thing we have to say, you know.
This is just weird.
It's different, certainly, because it's been a while. Let's just start off, because I know you've been such a frequent chatter over these last year even. I know you've been in there a long time. One thing I suppose we always ask guys is, what started you watching wrestling and when did you start watching? It's always interesting to know.
Well, I would probably say I started watching wrestling about 98, 99, I'm going to guess. The WCW era, maybe late, early Attitude. Around then. I'm not really an old watcher. I'm only like 17, so...
It was a good time to start, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was.
Now, let's jump straight to the meat of it, because I know you're a big Captain Charisma fan, you're a big Christian fan. These past few days must have been awful for you.
Yeah, I was quite pissed off, actually.
I won't laugh.
After watching Smackdown, I kind of felt there might be something going on in the future with Randy Orton Christian, maybe, but I've also got that gut feeling that nothing's going to happen. That they're going to bury the guy, and next week he's probably going to be facing Yoshitatsu.
I wouldn't put it past him. I wouldn't put it past him whatsoever. I'm sure they will, which will probably be even funnier if they do, you know. You know, I think the thing with Christian is, as long as he's willing to keep outperforming everybody else, now that it's his chance, I think he'll be okay, you know. Basically,
If you're not Adam Copeland and you're Canadian, you're fucked.
It's very true. It does pay to be Edge, and now unfortunately it doesn't in this case. But you know, we've looked for your reactions on those nights, and I think we're sold now as you are the Christian fan of all time. I think when you saw the belt thing and you saw that belt changing hands, did you actually feel like he would ever get it again? Do you think now it was just a little tester? Maybe it's some renewed faith in the guy.
Were you still awake at that stage, or were...
Well, I'm just happy he got the belt, to be honest with you. But I do hope he does win the belt again. But I just can't see it really happening.
Do you think... I suppose not to be blunt about it, but like, does it bother you either way, or...
Does a bit, yeah, because when you get people like Edge winning 10 world championships within such a small time spree, and you get Stone Cold only winning, I'm going to guess 7 or 6. Maybe the chat will probably just answer that for me. But it's just weird that someone who was tagging with Edge for that amount of time, and the funny thing is, I was watching on YouTube that Christian actually had a world title match before Edge ever had one, which was against The Rock for the WCW Championship on Raw during the Invasion stage.
So it shows you that even then they had some thoughts of him being champion. Do you think when he went to TNA, as so many of us have said, that maybe damaged the guy when he came back? Did they kind of spend a lot of time thinking, well, this guy is just ex-TNA, we can't push him?
Well, what they should have done is they should have incorporated Christian into that Jeff Hardy Matt Hardy storyline. If that happened, Christian probably would have been a world champion by now, or before Extreme Rules.
Yeah, that's a good point. I think I feel sorry for most of the guys who try to make a comeback in the E. It seems like they take their time, like you said, that Christianized term wasn't coined for no reason whatsoever. So when it comes to WCW, did you start actually watching? That was your first introduction to the whole business. You didn't watch WWE previous to that or anything?
No, I think I started watching WCW when it was on Channel 5. All the Bam and Crash stuff on the when it was shown in the mornings. So like when someone hit someone with a chair, it would say Crash or Bang or Frack. I watched WWE on like 4 in the morning on Channel 4, like the Royal Rumble in 2000 and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But I think mainly it was WCW for me.
So many people actually got sold the WWE through those Channel 4 pay-per-views, and of course the Channel 5 WCW stuff as well. Such a lifeline back then to be able to see it. Now, I've never really heard what you think of TNA. Do you actually watch it at all?
Utter Billy Bollocks.
It's
That's
a
what
good.
I think of TNA.
Yeah, it's a good way of describing it. But have you ever sort of dipped in and you know what turned you off, if you like? What was so bad in a sense?
Well, the funny thing is, I actually just turned off just before the Eric Bischoff Hulk Hogan regime. It's just a vibe in the Impact Zone. It's just there's no attraction to it. Unlike a WWE event where it's beautiful staging, great lighting, and the wrestlers actually have proper Titantrons. Now you can say that TNA has better wrestling, and that's a fact. But if you don't have like the look, it's not worth watching.
Yeah.
And it shows on TV. It's as obvious as hell when the crowd are dead or disinterested, or if it's the same people seeing the same thing week in and week out. Anybody would probably get to that level of, okay, we've seen it, it's Bischoff again, let's mark out for a base. Hooray. Everybody's happy.
It stood out to me this week actually, because I couldn't believe the difference in the HD TNA. Now it takes unfortunately a download to get that, because we don't get that quality here in the UK, Ireland, but it's got more than we see. I think, production values are actually quite a little bit better than we get to see, but it's unfortunate. Maybe one day they can address that. But I suppose moving on, in terms of WWE now, we had the draft, and of course we talked to a lot of our Skype callers last week about what they thought about some of those various changeovers. I'm sure you'll have a bit to say on Orton to Smackdown anyway, firstly.
Well, it's a shame. It should have been Cena and Orton. They shouldn't have swapped it round.
I'd have liked that.
I was quite disappointed. Pardon?
I would have liked that too, yeah.
Oh, it's just, you need to have a break from Cena on Raw. We need to develop superstars. You can't just keep having Cena this, Cena that, Cena this. Or as I like to call Borton, invading Raw just for the past 6 or 5 years. Enough's enough.
I like that, Borton. That's one that I think needs to take. It's a good one.
It's a good one. I like
it's better than Snorton.
It is. It is. Well,
Snorton.
He's got maybe, I think, give him a couple of weeks and we'll see how he pans out over there, Orton. With that title. And go ahead.
He's extremely stiff. It's just, it's just boring. I can't watch the guy.
Well, maybe the beard and the belt might bring something good to him.
A lot of people said Wolverine.
It's the way.
Go ahead, yeah.
It's the way he talks. It's just, and when people compare him to Stone Cold, are you kidding me? You can't compare Stone Cold Steve Austin to Randy frickin' Orton. How do people compare the two?
There is no real comparison when it comes to talking, I don't think. Well, Orton isn't the worst, I don't think, in fairness.
Do you know what they're doing? It's almost like they're looking for the Stone Cold, and they're looking for that guy who can maybe have the potential to go there. But as you say, I mean, the character has had some of its biggest pushes in the last few years, and we've never seen him sort of evolve to a level where he kind of threw that crowd over without really doing anything but speaking. I mean, his promos don't inspire a lot of pops, really.
I actually really do miss Randy Orton from 2004 when he beat Chris Benoit for the World Heavyweight Championship at SummerSlam. He actually had a decent gimmick at the time and a look, because he actually knew how to talk then. Because if you compare Randy Orton from 2004 to now, he's just stale.
Well, I couldn't tell you what he was doing in 2004. You might bring us up to scratch on that one.
Oh, Evolution.
Oh, Evolution. Sorry,
when he left
the years.
Evolution.
Sorry, the years seems like Jesus. That was 2004. Yeah, Evolution was cool. I liked Evolution. I think it was a legit stable, and developed him, I think, faster than anything could have. But his quick rise was only so high he can go before he can come back down. But at least, he's under or he's out from under Cena's deal, and he can roll with it on his own and SmackDown, and fingers crossed Cena breaks an arm or something, so we don't have to put up with him for too much longer.
I can't believe we've got Captain Charisma here on the
it's
Skype.
good now.
This took a while now. I can't. We haven't got your video, but I'm sure it's probably some issue here. We hope to get you on again. Now, I hope this is the start of many Skype calls from yourself.
Yeah, I will probably do more of these. I'm just fix the webcam up.
Yeah.
I've got a question for you, Steve. What do you see in Heath Slater? I've noticed you've often mentioned how good he is. I just see him as a joke.
Well, most people would probably agree with you, I think. What I saw from him was humour and passion, I think. You don't really see that from a lot of guys.
I think if you get rid of the accent, no offence to Southerners, yeah, and you give him the jacket, you got Brian Kendrick 0.02.
Well, maybe that might have something to do with it. In the back of my head, I can see that. But he's just I think when he delivers, from the commentary side of things, he was very funny. His mannerisms crack me up. I think his in-ring work is good, a lot better than the rest of the core. And if they brought him back just to the one-man rock band, and it's not because I'm obviously into music or whatever, I just think he's got potential. Like, I mean, they had Edge doing the Rockstar thing, Hardy did it for a little bit, Morrison, yourself with that guy at this stage. So I think somebody who's so far removed from the whole thing, like Heath Slater, which is a kind of southern guy with the ginger hair, is so far removed from being a rock star that why not make him the one-man rock band and have a bit of fun with it? And that's the shit that gets over. So
yeah, I think at one
the
point...
rock band stuff...
Yeah, go ahead, sorry.
Yeah, the rock band... Oh, sorry, it's out of sync, because I'm watching you on the live Justin thing, so I don't know when you're going to be speaking or not.
No,
no, hang on. Sorry, I need to just put this in.
Not a problem.
Right.
Always good to have you on.
I think the Rockstar thing will definitely work, because it just gives the guy more credibility. And as I said earlier, the whole Brian Kendrick sort of vibe.
Mm-hmm.
But hopefully Heath Slater won't appear on any game shows.
Exactly. I suppose he probably... Could he be elevated to that level is the question. Could he ever be a guy like a Miz, that he could have that top status? I mean, I would have been really surprised if you told me a few years ago that the Miz was going to do all he's done so far.
I would have been surprised as well, The Miz has really impressed me over the few years he's been in WWE. Because when I first saw him, all I saw in him was a future European champion, if that belt's still around today. I didn't see him as a world champ.
Yeah, I didn't either, to be honest. I thought he would have been a strong mid-card guy for a long time, so it just goes to show.
Actually, not even European champion, light heavyweight champion. That's how low I thought of the Miz.
That's right. I have to say I agree. I was exactly in the same boat, and he did win me back, but the time that we've now seen him lose the belt was the right time for me. It was losing its talking point kind of status. It was starting to be a bit boring. Cena again, controversial, but I suppose we're going to have to live with it. Were you in with us last week as the room got pulled by any chance?
Yeah, I was. I thought it was a power cut.
Yeah, it was.
I didn't realise he got taken down because it just said you're offline.
Unfortunately, a big shame, but it is kind of ridiculous when you think about it. I mean, we definitely want to hear your thoughts on it, because I mean, you guys can vouch for us. You were here live on that night, and I mean, you can attest that we didn't broadcast any of that event, video or audio.
I remember I had a technical problem a few weeks ago. I couldn't see the whole show at all, even though you guys were on. So, this is... I don't know.
It does happen.
Justin.
Technical problems are a bitch.
Absolutely.
It does happen. It does happen.
Listen, it's been wonderful. We hope to speak with you again now. Yeah. Captain Charisma debuting here tonight on Skype, and it's been a pleasure. Thank you for calling us tonight.
Thanks, guys. Speak to you next week.
Take it easy.
Don't get the webcam working.
Cheers.
We will hopefully speak with you again, and thank you. That's the first, actually.
That was cool, wasn't it?
I
didn't see that one coming, actually.
And we did get some contact requests. I know Phil tried to call in there, so let's give Phil a buzz and see what he is up to tonight.
Hope to speak with you again now.
We have you. Phil, how are you doing?
And it's been a pleasure.
Not too bad. How goes it?
Very good. It was great to have you on last week, and of course the Extreme Rules pay-per-view was when we last spoke to you. We didn't get a chance to get back to you on an ongoing basis, but I was going to ask you first of all, maybe what you thought overall on that pay-per-view as the night went on. Do you think it was a good show?
I thought the show was pretty decent overall. I did get to see the end of it. I know everybody's a little bit disappointed over the show getting yanked, and at least they're not coming knocking down on our doors. That's a good thing.
Exactly.
But,
yeah.
I thought it was a decent show overall. With the exception of obviously going a complete 180 of thinking you had some new ideas and some fresh things happening, then within the week you completely eliminate that. So that's what disappointed me more than anything over the past week. The show was good. Follow-up, not so much.
Suddenly we got the Christian Randy Orton thing. Did you hear about that one early, or was it the show that revealed it to you?
I think I found out it probably Wednesday. And it was one of those things, and that's where it's a little dangerous with the spoilers sometimes, because even if you don't want to reveal it, the second that I read, I think in one of the articles was, if you watch the show on Sunday night, you're not going to be pleased with Smackdown, or maybe I'm just a cynic. Some part of me just knew that that's the direction that they were going in, and I don't know. Although the more that I've heard and looked at the chat here, and I almost wonder if this is also symptomatic of what's going on with their booking plans right now. Where SmackDown always takes a back seat, I wonder if they had this planned out. So you've got your booking crew for SmackDown, and then obviously you've got Vince. I don't even know if he watches SmackDown, quite frankly. So I wonder if he all of a sudden, or whoever now is pulling the strings, looked at it and said, yeah, go plan your television show. But then they go and throw the draft in there all of a sudden, and it's a complete monkey wrench. And I wonder if the SmackDown writing crew even knew about that. So maybe there was a plan for Christian to go further, and then they just threw this as a curveball. It wouldn't surprise me to learn something like that.
Yeah, I think it's a good point, actually. I think depending on what they've had, and it might have been even soul destroying for them to put the same stuff together with the Kofis and people like that for so many weeks upon weeks of what will we do with Dolph, we'll put him back with Kofi. This week, what we do with Kofi, put him back with Dolph. And too much of that might have made them feel stale about the whole thing. So it's hard to say, I suppose, whether it was the new talent that made them make the feel of the show a bit different, or was it just a change in kind of script in the show, I think, because there was a lot of things that, like the Chavo thing when he came out, the whole deal with Orton getting the title back, small little bits and pieces, Karma obviously playing a big part in the whole thing as well, but those things, is it because, like you say, the draft and the new talent, or is it a change in booking and they don't have to put up with the Kofis versus Dolphs for the 16,000th time?
What it does point to for me, though, and where I do think it is symptomatic of what's going on there, especially if the main reason that the wrestling is losing a lot of following and more people are getting into the MMA and into the UFC because they want more reality in their programming. The problem that I have is, and regardless to what the outcome of the Orton and the Christian match is, and they've been doing this for too long, the guy just fought a hard-fought ladder match to win a championship on Monday, or on Sunday rather. And even if we assume the show is on Friday, if that match is supposed to take him and take that much out of him and be so draining, and we're supposed to suspend our disbelief, how can we do that when, and they do this all the time, you have a hard-fought match on Sunday, and then Monday night the guys are out there fighting again as if nothing happened. You know, you look at the UFC, and I'm not a huge fan of UFC, but if you look at boxing as well, how often do those guys defend the title? Because you do need time to train in between. I'm not saying that wrestling needs to go that far off the rails that, you know, the guys fight every 3 or 4 months. But if you want to stretch out your programming a little bit further and you want it to be more real, Christian should not be defending that title for at least, say, a week or two. Say that he's nursing it. And whatever happened to the old, the champion only had to defend his title once every 30 days. It was perfect for a heel. That was the difference between a face and a heel. A heel took advantage of that. Maybe a face would defend his title a little bit more often, but oftentimes it backfired on him. So I mean, I think they're taking away a lot of the tools that they have for storytelling in wanting to just throw all the cards out on the table right away, and I think that's why so much of it's stagnant.
I was just going to say, I think I'll make this quick, that they put the pressure on themselves in that instance where you have so many shows every week. I mean, with a Raw, a Smackdown, even if Superstars, whatever, and then before you know it, you're into a pay-per-view 3 weeks time, and then there's another one 4 weeks after that, and then another one. Too many pay-per-views, one, and we've said it a million times. Too many titles, yeah, but that's a different argument. But I think too many pay-per-views puts all that pressure on them to constantly try to deliver, when in the end sometimes they do the complete opposite and just make a balls of the whole thing.
I agree, because even when you mentioned there about the boxing thing and about how a guy is not going to defend the title the next night after he wins it, it's very relevant. And if you want to maybe keep it, you know, as you say, believable in that sense, it's perfectly accurate to say that. I think also, yeah, like you said, every 30 days, that used to be some kind of rule.
That was a good one, yeah.
And it kind of slotted in nicely with the pay-per-views as well. Well, I suppose it was Big Four at one point, but
like Phil said, if you're a heel, it's the best stipulation in the world. You can't touch me for 30 days.
Exactly. Yeah. It can be worked, can't it? But yeah, I mean, overall I've enjoyed Extreme Rules after at least the Raw was good. The Raw was okay, and then we had that shocking angle then on Smackdown. Now, of course, we are able as well to cut to you, and indeed we have a photo of you as well, so we can get a little bit of a look at you, Phil. So it's good to have that as well, and indeed always nice to hear from you. Now, of course, I don't know as well about your thoughts on TNA, because we've talked about it a bit now tonight. Are you a watcher of that? I can't quite recall.
I don't watch it. I'm typically cognizant of what's going on, I guess. But
you're better off.
Really
actually.
Matters.
Yeah.
I find they're even worse than WWE at this point in terms of just running around in the same circles and running the same angle. It's the same angle, just insert a different person, so it's a new authority figure every time.
That's it. That really is it. It's going to be constantly like that as well. They don't seem to be able to break out of that mold. But it's almost like there's too many guys over there. You know, it's too many cooks spoil the broth, I think.
Yeah, it definitely has a feeling in every sense to what WCW was at one point. And, you know, for a while there, I wanted to get behind it a few years back when it felt like they were selling themselves as an alternative. At this point, it's just like they're doing a weak imitation.
How about stuff like Ring of Honor, FCW? Do you follow much of the smaller organizations and developmental places?
Not really. Part of it's the access.
Right.
Same as ourselves.
Part of it, it's hard to, I find, to find it. You have to go out of your way. Another aspect of it too, I I understand the sentiments of people, and it'll sound kind of funny where I'm coming on here and proposing a more realistic style and a more athletic style, and I enjoy that, but I don't think you can go so far off in that other direction, and that I do like a good combination of good storytelling and some of the larger-than-life aspect mixed in with some good wrestling, and I find sometimes with the ROH and whatnot, it is what they are, but you do have to be completely hardcore to really enjoy it. You almost have to sit down, watch, and tell yourself, I'm going to enjoy this match before you watch it.
I'm ordering this Dragon Gate pay-per-view whether you like it or not.
Precisely. I suppose, Ring of Honor is a place that, I have to say I don't watch it because I found it tricky. As you say, the access is a big factor over here. We don't even have it on TV, so you have to go and download it, do something like that. And of course now the TV thing I think has gone west, and they're not around. But every time I tuned in, I saw incredible matches. I saw stuff that was beyond athletic, it was beyond daring, and I think I kind of compare that then to the kind of recent WWE matches, and I'm kind of amazed really at how a match can be, if you like, if they have those handcuffs taken off and the bookers let them maybe go to town on it.
And to mix some of that in every now and then is never a bad idea, and I guess the greatest frustration that a lot of people have, myself included, is you do have some of the talent that are able to do a lot of those things, like a Daniel Bryan, who can put on an incredible spot fest, but seems to have that ability to work some decent psychology. And so I guess that's what I'm getting at in terms of you can't have a match that's completely spots and you can't have a match that's complete psychology either. You need a little mix of the both. And right now it doesn't seem like anybody's doing doing a consistently good job of that.
It's tough, isn't it?
It's a good point.
It's tough to keep people interested these days after so many decades of it. And
there's crazy stuff out there I found this week. Again, I'll keep it short, but now not only Ring of Honor with their TV stuff, there's stuff like OVW popping up, TV tapings, NWA, Hollywood, all this crazy ass stuff. In and out for 5 minutes, just have a look at both low kind of jabroni productions, not to diss them. I know they obviously work hard to put the shows together, but in comparison I suppose to what we're used to at the E. But I mean, it's out there if people want it, but I think we'll always be down with the entertainment and being able to laugh, I suppose, at the end of the day.
Yeah, it's the big production values. Captain Charisma mentioned it in the last Skype call there, that you kind of feel like the TV, the pay-per-view, it all has a high-end look at WWE, and to switch over to a Ring of Honor or a TNA, the step down, if you like, it's just never something that is that good. You don't like to watch something that's not as kind of high quality, and to hand it to them, it really is at this point, isn't it?
Well, I guess the comparison that I can make on something like that is I'm a huge baseball fan, and at some point I'm trying to make it to every major league stadium, but I also like to visit minor league stadiums as well. So, but the average person at that point is because I'm a hardcore baseball fan. It's probably the same thing for wrestling fans, whether or not you fall into that category.
Sure. That's a good point.
Absolutely. Well, Phil, again, we don't want to keep you too long. Always interesting to speak to you, and love to have you on Skype and in the room, so hopefully long may it continue.
Cheers, bro.
Plan on it. Talk to you soon.
And
bye-bye.
talk to you
Take
again.
it easy.
Thanks to Phil there. That's Phil live here on Skype. Now, we do have regular Skypers. I know we've had a couple of extra contacts. I believe Mac Attack actually added us, so it could be another debut here. I can't see Mac Attack on the online here, but if you want to buzz us, let me see if I can see you here. I cannot see you online. Maybe you're about to...
Sometimes they come up as invisible, yeah.
That's right. Well, anyone who would like to Skype us now, go ahead.
Yep, it's open, Skyblind.
Yeah.
Rock it up. But yeah, I looked at this...
Here's Mac Attack. We have Mac Attack. I think... yeah.
Cool.
We've got Mac Attack. Give us a call. We'd love to hear from another one that we haven't heard from. It'd be great to hear from you.
Yeah, he's been around for a while. He's one of our mods now as well, isn't he?
That's right. Yeah.
Absolutely, call in. It'll be fun.
Yeah, do indeed.
Then, here we go.
So we've got two at once. What we'll do is we called Mac Attack. So Drifter, if you'd like to hold on for a little bit, and now we will talk to Mac Attack, our moderator in the chat room. Hello to you, good night.
Hey guys,
How's it going?
Very, very well. It's absolutely great to talk to you. Of course, you've been in our room for quite a while, so firstly to thank you for that. It's always nice to have people coming into the room weekly. Now, to start off with yourself, you're from Ireland, are you?
Yeah, I am Donegal, but a bit further north than you guys. But
Donegal, fuck.
yeah, it's nice to find some other Irish wrestling fans, you know.
Exactly. Did you go to anything recently up in Belfast? They had the house shows.
No, I've never been at a house show, but yeah, I would have liked to have got up, but didn't get the chance this time around.
Absolutely. So I don't want to be remiss and not ask you, when did you start watching? It's always fascinating to me to know when a guy, did start watching.
Yeah, well, I'm kind of a strange case. I suppose I used to watch it back in the day, the Attitude era, when I was a starry-eyed youngster. And then after a while, about 2002 or so, I kind of stopped watching for whatever reason.
I think we all did.
Then about 2 years ago, I kind of got back into it. It was actually, I started watching mainly because of Sheamus, but like yourself, seeing the hometown hero, as it were.
Well, this is it. He's a good draw, yeah.
Yeah, I was just sort of, interested to see an Irish guy in the big leagues over in the States, and just, because obviously he got such a major push at the start, and yeah, that I started following him, and that kind of got me back into the swing of things.
As I'm sure it would. Sheamus is a guy who's sold the product to a lot of fans. You mention him, and I've actually, encountered a lot of people locally who maybe have Sky Sports, and, they tune into WWE and they always mention Sheamus. He's a notable character, even if you're not a fan, actually.
He's putting us over. He's doing respect. Well, I don't know. He's doing a good job of it, but he's putting the Irish over, Oh, we've always supported him, I think, from the get-go here. He's a funny guy.
He's trying his absolute best.
Yeah, even now, he's a decent worker as well. I think hopefully now he'll get a bit more time on Smackdown. With they seem to run longer matches there, and he had a pretty decent debut on Smackdown against Daniel Bryan there. So hopefully things are looking up.
I'd like to see, sorry now for fans, charisma here with this one, but if we can just push Christian to the side going forward, and maybe get Sheamus back in this main event picture for the belt with Orton, I think would be a nice little program for those two guys to run with.
That's exactly what I'd like to see, and I hope that the idea of Sheamus going through guys, that's something that I mentioned in that video recently about Sheamus, that if he could go back to squashing guys, bulldozing, I wouldn't say, it wasn't so much competitive this week with Daniel Bryan. I kind of felt like he was given a chance to go through him in some ways. Maybe Daniel Bryan got a bit of offense.
I thought it was decent. I thought Daniel Bryan did a fair enough job. I was given time to do a fair enough job. It wasn't too much of a squash job.
Time.
Yeah,
definitely the most important factor, as you mentioned yourself, Mac Attack, to have that extra time. It gives the guys so much more time to show off, the entire match, and not have all these adverts and stuff.
Yeah, definitely. I think Daniel Bryan especially, I like what I've seen of him so far, and I think definitely now SmackDown is the show for him to be on, because he's definitely better tailored to the longer matches.
Certainly is. Now, of course, the draft was the most recent topic, and of course we had the Extreme Rules as well. Regarding both of those, I suppose just to get your overall thoughts, since we've asked Skypers in these past few weeks, the draft had a lot of interesting picks, but I think, as you say, more SmackDown heavy now, a little bit of a better selection of guys for SmackDown over Raw.
Yeah, I think the draft seemed a bit random to me. I think Raw for some reason there's just so many like mid-card heels over there now. I don't know what they're going to do with, like, there's so many, like, Swagger, McIntyre, Del Rio, Punk, but there's just so many. I don't know really, like, where they're going to fit them all in, but I suppose
it's a good point,
has
actually.
never really gone hand in hand with the WWE draft.
This is it, the draft, of course. Sometimes, well, we seem to believe that it's not worked, that the guys actually don't know they're going where they were going. I think the Orton thing points to me, you know, him winning the belt, that maybe he knew about that beforehand, because I can't imagine they'd have sprang that on Orton without letting him know that the belt was coming his way, if you like.
I think Orton gets what Orton wants, you know.
That's right. Do you think Christian was screwed?
Yeah, definitely. You know, I think to be honest with you, I think it was a bit almost disrespectful, you know, to the fans who say paid for Extreme Rules, you know, big emotional payoff, and then all of a sudden 2 days later, just out of nowhere, you know, I think it's basically a case of Vince saying to all the, you know, the older fans, a bit like ourselves, that, you know,
get over it.
He does what he wants, and, you know, he's not going to bow to internet pressure.
As always, yeah, as always. At least they gave him his you know, 5 days of glory. Although really it wasn't even 5 days, considering it was taped on a Tuesday, so it was, what, 48 hours. Nonetheless, he did get the time to shine and celebrate and smile while it lasted. Poor Christian.
That's it. Christian now is going to have to move on. I think he's going somewhere, though. You know, it was the walkout at the end of the Smackdown, the long drawn out thing where you didn't have any commentary, and basically it kind of pointed towards something. And I did kind of look at you know, what Jericho said on Twitter. I mean, Jericho picked the Royal Rumble winner, and I kind of I'm looking toward when Jericho speaks.
You listen.
I'm listening, you know, because he says there's something else possibly going on, and I actually believe him. I think Christian could get it again. Do you think he could?
I just hope it's not a heel turn. That's kind of, I like Christian as a face, and I think that if he was a heel, I think there's too many. This might sound strange, but I think there's too many small heels. There's not enough monster heels anymore. Like, you know, Christian as a heel against Orton. I mean, Orton will just destroy him, bury him like he does, you know. Like, it'll be just like CM Punk again, you know. He'll just probably punt kick him and that'll be the end of it or something, you know. So I'd like to see them keep Christian as a face and maybe have a face Christian versus face Orton. I think that will be reasonably interesting, you know.
It's true. I mean, you're gonna have, you know, small heels, mid heels, high heels, you know, all sorts of heels. But I think you made a good point about Raw with all these mid card guys. I mean, everybody's going to be juxtaposition on that one with the likes of Swagger and McIntyre, even Punk. You know, all of those guys. I think that's one thing. I think when it comes to Raw, people want to see the best of the best, really. And when you've got too many of them with really good potential, like a McIntyre or a Swagger, all those guys are going to find it hard to kind of cut through and shine. While on SmackDown, it'll be a bit easier for the Daniel Bryans of the world.
I'm getting, you know, what you're talking about here. I agree with both of you, because, you know, it's Orton now, kind of in a way, maybe pissing people off in that SmackDown locker room. I mean, they can see that a guy can be just thrown on there and take the belt, no matter how long a guy perhaps has been working to get there. And, you know, I'd say it might have been symbolic, not just for fans who saw the Christian loss, but maybe the guys backstage as well took some heart in that and maybe thought, well, you know, what is the point in trying to get there when that could happen? But do you think Christian, you know, how do you think he maybe have felt about this? It's hard to know from how he reacted on TV, but it seems to me that he must have just done business, if you like, and maybe didn't have too much of a problem with it. But I suppose we'll never know, will we?
Yeah, I mean, it's always hard to know what goes on backstage, but I'd say, I mean, like, he's bound to be a bit disappointed. I mean, like at the end of the day, he's been at this for a long time. You know, I'm a big Christian fan. I think he deserved at least a month or two, you know, of a reign. I think 2 days is a bit unfair, because you know he's a veteran. You know, like you can even tell the look at him now. Like he looks like one of the last guys from the Attitude Era. He's not getting much younger. You know, he's not going to be a 10-time champion by the time he retires. I think this could have been like, say, Kane there early last year. You know, I think they could have given him a bit of a run at least as a show of respect. But you know, maybe no point in me telling Mr. McMahon how to run things. I'm sure he has plans.
We do it every week.
At least let him get over the limit. I totally agree. You know, give him the few weeks and defend it the next pay-per-view. Let Orton take it off them. I suppose that's maybe another reason people thought it was such a standout moment, that, you know, why only 24, 48 hours? Why not a week? You know, Orton must have been politically there and kind of saying, look, it has to happen like this, or forget it, really. But of course, you know, you forget about these times where guys say, look, I'm not actually dropping that belt. You know, it was rumoured a while back that Mysterio didn't want to drop the IC belt, and his say pretty much ended Ziggler taking it. So guys can do it, you know.
I wouldn't take much notice of Mysterio if I was Vince, to be honest.
Absolutely.
I'll tell you one thing though, I wonder if Orton shook Christian's hand before the match behind the curtain. Would you say he might have apologised in advance?
Business has to be done, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Mac Attack, great to speak to you, and indeed, just like Captain Charisma, I hope that we can hear from you again at some point. Very great insight, and
fellow Irishman.
Yeah, I hope we'll hear from you again. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thanks sir. Thanks for having me on, guys.
Take it easy. Have a good week.
Indeed, all the best to you. And that's Mac Attack, our moderator there, who is calling now. I think we get Drifter, because I know Drifter called in a minute ago, and then we'll get Sonic, who's also
jam-packed
tonight. There's one thing I want to ask Drifter when he gets on, and I think he knows what it is. We've just been talking about it, and let's see what he has to say about this big title changeover. And Drifter, you are with us. Welcome. How are you tonight?
The Drift Machine.
I'm good. How are you?
Very, very well now.
Awesome.
As you can see there, we have Sonic calling in at the same time. So a busy Skype tonight. Plenty of people to call in. I want to ask you first and foremost your thoughts on this, shocking changeover. Christian loses that belt, Orton takes it. Now I know last weekend you were excited about that Christian win, you know, a good moment. Has it all been destroyed now with this changeover?
Oh, I've been pretty vocal in the chat room about that, and yeah, it fucking sucks. I mean, you know, when you guys were talking about you want to see one of your own, like Sheamus, do well, I think we Canadians, you know, feel the same way when we want to see one of our own do well. And I remember calling in the chat room last week, you know, and even the week before with prediction video, that, you know, he was going to win, and there was going to be this feel-good moment with Edge. And I think it was Mac Attack who just said, you know, we get robbed, you know, of that moment 2 days later, and I think it's bullshit. I think that, you know, when the internet community cries out about something like this, they should listen. You know, this is what we want. Why not give the fans what they want at least once or twice in our lifetimes? And, you know, I think the whole situation has been made too complex. My take on it is that they needed that belt on that brand. Del Rio wasn't going to win his match, so they needed a guy to hold the belt as in transitional champion, i.e. Mick Foley, for 24 hours, so someone else can just come along and take it. And I'm sure when Randy Orton was given the Smackdown role, one of the agreements to that probably was, we'll give you the belt.
Yeah. Do you think in any way it was a tester to see if there would be a backlash like that?
No, I don't think they were that smart to premeditate that little maneuver. But I think because there is such a backlash, they should take notice of it.
Yeah.
It was a huge backlash. You know, you even had guys like Joey Styles coming on Twitter saying that, you know, keep those tweets PG if you're talking about the Christian Orton thing. So you'd wonder what kind of stuff guys were saying to that official WWE account about it. I think it was it the spoiler really that kind of got people a bit too amped up about it early, because being honest with you, my first thoughts of it were what I saw, which was this has been a screw job, and I imagined something way bigger. I mean, maybe it was a bit of a controversy that, you know, people needed to see it first and maybe see that Christian was in a sense leading to something else. I really feel like there's some kind of path here. Would you agree?
Well, I'm sure Christian knew he was only going to have the belt for a short time, long before they even gave it to him. You know, I'm sure that was well discussed in advance.
And would you reckon there's got something coming off this?
Not whatever that. Just say, you know, hey, we're going to drop the belt on you, but we want you to know you're just going to hold it for a couple of days. You're going to lose to Orton at Smackdown, okay? Okay, great. Nice doing business with you.
This is it,
This is
unfortunately. Christian's got to take that, and, you know, at least as people said, he got the belt, and it can't be denied. He's been a world championship holder, and I think that's definitely a plus point for him. A career highlight,
You
really,
know, I'll tell you
some
honestly, yeah, it is. And I think he'll do it again, and definitely sooner rather than later. They know that he's well liked, and it would be stupid for them to pass on that opportunity, especially. Although I will say one thing, as much as you know, I think he's okay, and I think he's definitely deserving of it. I won't knock him for that. But I will say, when he did come in on SmackDown with the title, and although it was against Orton, maybe that was the factor in it. The crowd, although they popped when the music hit, were fairly dead literally when that music stopped, and all through the match there wasn't that much, you know, noise for him as champ. But now it's just a small observation.